Hello and welcome back. Myself, Dr. Ruby Singh. So, welcome to ExcelShare Academy. In the previous session, we talked about the cell structure and functions, wherein we have discussed about who discovered cells with the help of the microscope. So, Robert Hooke was a person who saw first time the cells using the microscope, which was discovered by Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So we also discussed different types of shapes and sizes, the number of cells which vary from organism to organism in the previous session. So in this session, we'll talk more about its structure and function, like how the cell is composed of, what are the functions it carries out. Before I proceed, I would like you to share, like and subscribe this channel so that you get all the updated videos notifications. So let's move on. Cell structure and function. So as already we know that in human beings, each part, each organ is having a specific function. For example, eyes, nose, mouth, your stomach, your intestine, they have got a specific function, right? For example, stomach helps in the digestion of food. Your eyes are helping you to see, to visualize your objects which are present in the surrounding. Similarly, all these parts have got these specific functions, as in the case of plants also. For example, roots are meant for water absorption. Along with the water, it also absorbs minerals and nutrients. Leaves are responsible for food synthesis. So this all we know. So each organ is further made up of smaller parts called tissues, wherein tissues are nothing but collection of cells, and where we know that the basic unit of life is cell. So just understand that from cell you get tissues, tissues you get organs, organ system, and then the entire individual. So what are the three basic characteristics of a cell? So first thing is that it needs a cell membrane. Now why a cell membrane is required? Because the cell membrane defines the boundary. So for example, if you have a cell like this, let it be a bacteria, plant or animal cell, it defines its boundary wherein it separates the internal content from getting mixed with the external content. So just a boundary which will have where this composition of the internal condition will be different as compared to the external. Then it has got the genetic material. So it can be either in the form of DNA or RNA. Now, where we see RNA as a genetic material, especially in the case of viruses. So if I ask, what is the genetic material of coronavirus? How many of you can answer? So comment me in the channel comment section. Okay. Then third one is the metabolism, which usually takes place in the cytoplasm. So when we talk about the metabolism, here we deal about the synthesis of ATP, which is the energy source, and how exactly a particular cell, let it be an animal, bacteria or a plant, how it is going to function. So all these will be covered in the metabolism. So moving on to the next. So let's talk about the plasma membrane. So the membrane separates cells from one another and also the cell from the surrounding medium. So as already mentioned that it separates the internal condition from its external condition. So here the plasma membrane is porous. It is porous, and you can see over here that it is made up of phospholipids. So it is made up of phospholipids, and it has got proteins also. So if anyone asks you what is the composition of lipids, so you can say that mainly it constitutes of lipids and proteins, and you have got small amount of carbohydrates also present. Now later when you grow up more and all, and if you choose to take science as a subject, there you will study that. So this phospholipids, that is, these two layers are there. So it is a two-layer membrane system. It is also called bilayer. Okay. Now, if you see over here, there are few proteins which are embedded into the plasma membrane. These proteins are called integral proteins. So these are the proteins which are actually responsible for many cell-to-cell interactions as well as passage of molecules from one side to another side. Since you should understand that the cell membrane is made of lipids, it means what? It is hydrophobic in nature. So it will not allow the passage of any water molecule to one side to another side. So it has to be carried with the help of certain proteins. So this will be more clear once we study more about the cell structure and function. Look at over here. This is a real image of an animal cell from someone's research lab. So this is a cell. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 cells over here. And this green color represents your plasma membrane or the cell membrane. Blue color is the genetic material, that is the DNA. And this red spots you can see is the cytoplasm. Okay. So how beautifully, with the help of 3 different staining dyes, the researcher has stained differently the plasma membrane, genetic material, as well as the cytoplasm. So by this, the staining allows the researcher to understand if any abnormality or any changes are there in the cell. So this is how certain research works are going on in the lab. Now, if suppose you have to do an experiment in your lab, so what you can do is take an onion. So you know that it has got many layers. Just take a small piece of one of the layer. Remove the peeling. There is a light pink color shield, shield is there. So you just remove it. That take a thin slice of it. Okay. Now stain with the methylene blue solution. So what you have to do is you have got the glass slide with you. Just clean it with the alcohol. Let it dry, and then put the slice over here. What you have to do is just add 1 drop of methylene blue. Don't add extra. Okay. Don't think that more you add, more you will see. It's nothing like that. Then it will be fully crowded and nothing will be visible to you. So what you have to do is just add 1 drop of methylene blue solution. Put a cover slip onto that, and the cover slip should be placed in such a way that air bubbles should not get trapped over here. Because once you visualize under the microscope, you won't be able to see anything clearly. So it's always better to avoid any trapping of the gas bubbles. So once you apply, what you see is something like this. This is the original image of an onion peel with the help of the methylene blue. It has been observed under the microscope. So you can see that as we discussed, like Robert Hooke said that these were like compartments, like boxes were present. In the same way, in the case of onion peel also, you can see these compartments are there. How beautifully it's like a compartment. The boxes are present, right? Excuse me. So these are the dark stained the compartment boxes. What you see, the boundaries are actually the cell wall. So since it's a plant, you are going to have a cell wall which is present, and just immediately below to cell wall, it is the cell membrane. Okay. So right now you cannot distinguish between the cell wall and cell membrane, but yes, so both are together. Then the dot, what you see over here, the dot which is over here, these dots, what you see, each compartment is got 1 dot, right? So what does it mean? It is the nucleus of the cell. That is the DNA present over there. Okay. And the gap, what you see, the transparent one, that is your cytoplasm. Since it is in the lower magnification, that's why you don't see anything over here. But if you observe the same thing under high magnification, then you can see there are so many organelles like ribosomes, mitochondria, chloroplasts, peroxisomes, vacuole, everything is present over there. So there are many organelles which are present in the cytoplasm, which we'll be discussing later in this coming session. So how beautifully you are getting over here. I hope everyone does in their class also. Now, what about animal cell? So this was about the plant cell. Okay. So what in the case of animal cell? So here it's very simple. You don't have to cut yourself. What you can do is you can just take the cheek cells. Now, when I say take the cheek cell, it doesn't mean that you're going to cut your cheeks. Okay. So few cells are needed. Remember, in most of the crime investigation episodes of CID or Crime Patrol or any forensic science related, maximum time what they do is they always take this cotton swab is there, and always they put something over here, right? They just put it inside and then put it into the test tube. In the same way, what you can do is take a toothpick, okay? Just remove it inside your mouth slowly, and then just scrape it over there. Do not hurt yourself. Then again, take a clean slide, put it over there, spread it. So along with the saliva, small number of your dead cheek cells will also come. So you don't have to cut your cheek as such. Then you can add methylene blue, and what you observe under the microscope is this. See how beautifully a very thin shape, very thin, you can see the animal cells are there. So there are many are there. Again, you can see that there are certain these dots are there. Again, those are nothing but the nucleus. Okay. Now, if you zoom it over here and see, this is one particular animal cell I have taken. what you see, this is called the boundary. That is, it is the cell membrane of the animal cell. So it is the cell membrane, or otherwise called the plasma membrane. Then again, this is the nucleus. So we know that in the case of animal, it is the DNA as genetic material. And then you see so many spots are there. So this is actually the cytoplasm, which is having so many organelles. So many organelles are there. Like how a body has got organs, in the same way, one single unit of life, that is the cell, has got many organelles in order to function specifically. Okay. So this is how you can visualize your plant cell as well as the animal cell. Now moving on to the next. So now what is protoplasm? So it is also called the living material of cell, which comprises of cytoplasm and nucleus. So if you say this entire thing, which is inside the cell membrane, is called the living material of cell. So what is cytoplasm? It's a jelly-like substance which is present between the cell membrane and the nucleus. So what you see over here is called the cytoplasm. Various other components or organelles of cell are present in the cytoplasm, as mentioned before. They are the mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes. If it is a plant cell, then you have got the chloroplast, vacuole, etc. Now, what is nucleus? So, nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by a membrane called nuclear membrane. So, if you see over here, this is a schematic diagram. If you consider this 3D view of a cell, you can see that, and one more membrane is present, which is called nuclear membrane. So, inside the nuclear membrane, you have got the nucleoplasm. The cell has got the cytoplasm, the nucleus has got the nucleoplasm, in which the genetic material DNA is present. Now, this membrane is also porous and allows the movement of materials between the cytoplasm and inside of the nucleus. So, it is porous because of the presence of certain proteins called NPC. So, since it is nowhere given in your textbook, it will be better if you can understand and remember from here. So as I said, this membrane is porous. It is because of the protein called NPC. It's a protein. Okay. And it is also called, let me write it over here. So NPC stands for nuclear pore. It's a pore complex. So with the help of NPC, the materials are transported from nucleus to outside cytoplasm and vice versa. Now, with a microscope of higher magnification, a smaller spherical body called nucleus can be seen. Okay. Nucleus contains thread-like structures. Those are called chromosomes, and they carry genes. So always you must have seen that we always mix like X-shape certain DNA material we make. So these are called chromosomes, which are present inside the nucleus. And on the chromosome, you have got the genes. So genes, everyone knows that these genes are the reason why, because you look similar to your parents. So these carry genes and help in inheritance or transfer of characters from parents to the offsprings. So if you are getting, if your parents are like from, for example, say from one from the north and one from the south, so you as a child, as offspring, you're going to have both the characteristics and the traits of North Indian and the South Indian. So this you must have seen also. If you know that you have parents from where your parents belong, you can also judge by yourself like what kind of traits you are having. Now over here, if you see, so this is again the image taken of an animal cell. So if you see very clearly, the plasma membrane has been stained green in color, right? And then again we have got the DNA as a nucleus. Sorry, the DNA material is there, which has been stained with the blue color. Now, if you want to visualize, because now this you see as a whole, it is in the decondensed form. That is, it is like open up structure. The thread like is there. So one interesting fact about DNA is that many scientists believe that if you open the DNA, right? So in humans, we have got 23 pairs of chromosomes. So total 46 chromosomes are there. Each chromosome is highly condensed together to form a X-like structure. Okay, and this is nothing but your DNA. So if you open up the DNA, open up the chromosome structure, and you keep line-wise line all the 46 chromosomes. So they say that from Earth you can reach to the other planets also, because It's such a long thing. So it is very interesting to understand how beautifully the nature has condensed this long threads like structure of DNA into such a tiny thing called chromosomes, which are again packed inside the nucleus, inside the cell, which cannot be seen with the naked eye. But we are saying that it is such long that it can extend from Earth to another planets. So let's come back to this. So if you know your cell is dividing, okay, like from 1 it is going to become 2, it is dividing, then you can see that these are the chromosomes. Can you see? So these are the like normal in the non-condensed form, and once they condense to form chromosomes, you can see over here. So if it is a human cell, then you have got the 23 pairs of chromosomes, out of which it is called 22 autosomes. So don't worry, don't get tense. This all are very simple to understand, and with the coming sessions it will be more clear. And we have got X, Y or X, X. So it becomes 23. So this is either XY if you are a boy, you're going to have 22 autosomes plus XY. If it is a girl, then 22 autosomes plus XX for a girl. So in total, we have got 23. Okay. So this is how you can see that over here. Actually, these 22 pairs are there. They are pairs, right? So they are going to align themselves around this line, and then this gets separated whenever a cell is dividing. So we'll talk more about it when this topic comes. So for right now, just understand that we, as a humans, we have got 23 pairs of chromosomes, and XX and XY are the gender, which reveals the gender. Now, the nucleus of a bacterial cell is not well organized like the cells of animal or plant. There is no nuclear membrane. So in this case, what happens is they have got a circular DNA, which is present in the bacteria in one corner of the bacterial body. So they are without the nuclear membrane, and hence they are called the prokaryotic cells. For example, the bacteria. So here, if you study more about bacteria, it is like this. So you have got a bacteria like this. This is a tail, which is called flagella in the case of bacteria. So you will have a circular DNA, which is present in the bacteria in one corner. Okay. So they don't have any covering which covers the genetic material. So it's open. There is no nuclear membrane, and hence they are called the prokaryotes. Now, like the onion cells and the cheek cells, well-organized nucleus with the nuclear membrane is present, then there it is called the eukaryotic cell. So this is the differences between the prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So if you see, prokaryotes have got the nucleate, a circular DNA, as I said, circular DNA will be there, but in the simpler form. No membrane-bound organelles are present. Typically, it is very small in size as compared to the multicellular eukaryotic cells. They divide by binary fission. It means what? It means that if you have a bacteria, let us imagine there is a one bacteria only. When it divides, it grows by consuming so much of food and all, and then it gets divided over here. So what happens? Finally, what you get is 2 bacteria, and then these 2 will give you another 2. So what is happening? So from 1 you get 2, from 2 you get 4, from 4 you get 8, 16, then 32. So this is something go on 2 raised to n. Okay. So this is the binary fission which happens in the case of bacteria. So typically they are unicellular. It means it's a single cell, and it can be anaerobic or aerobic, which means the bacteria are there which can grow in the presence of oxygen, and there are certain bacteria which can also grow in the absence of oxygen. Now coming to the eukaryotes. So eukaryotes, they have got the linear DNA. So when I say linear DNA, it means they have got the simple straight chain of the DNA, and they are present inside the nucleus, and the DNA is very complex. Since it is a multicellular organism, it needs more function to carry out, and hence we have got the more DNA and genes. So that's why it becomes complex. Now it is typically much larger, and they divide by mitosis and meiosis, which will be discussed. Typically multicellular, and they are aerobic. Now these are the differences between the prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Now what are the common things between the both? So we know that they have got the chromosomes, where the DNA is genetic material. Ribosomes, yes, because as I mentioned, Ribosomes are meant for protein synthesis. So both prokaryotes and eukaryotes are going to need proteins. Then cytoplasm is there, plasma membrane is there, and sometimes cell wall is there. So as we said, the prokaryotes have got the cell wall, whereas a plant cell also has, but in animal cell it is not present. Okay. So it's a beautiful diagram which actually explains both the common and the differences between the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. Now coming to the Golgi apparatus. So Golgi apparatus are present in eukaryotes. So this I thought of explaining with the diagram instead of writing over here. So first thing what you have to remember about the Golgi apparatus is that it helps in lipid and protein synthesis. Okay, and in the targeting. So what I meant by targeting is that if suppose you have got the insulin, okay, so the insulin is actually a protein hormone. So everyone knows what is insulin. So to be very specific, it's a hormone but protein in nature. Rest of your hormones are steroidal in nature. Now suppose insulin is there. So we know that whenever you eat, your food is converted into smaller components, which is finally in the form of glucose. So your body can absorb energy in the form of glucose only. Now to absorb by the body glucose, the cells needs insulin. Okay. So what happens now? Your cell is there. Okay. And then we have got the nucleus, and to the nucleus is we have got over here something called ER. Okay. Next to ER, we have got Golgi apparatus. Now, these are your Golgi apparatus. Now, why I have taken the example of insulin? Because once the insulin is synthesized, okay, so it has been synthesized, the target has been taken from the nucleus, it reaches ER, it gets synthesized, and then it reaches Golgi apparatus. Now, from the Golgi apparatus, it is decided that it should reach outside of the cell because it's a secreting hormone. Okay. So when it is secreted out in the bloodstream, it gives a signal to your body to absorb the glucose. Okay. So here your Golgi apparatus acts like a post office. So what happens in the post office? You give your parcel with specific address and the post office delivers to that particular address. Okay. Maybe it will take some time, but it delivers to that specific address. In the same way, when the protein is synthesized from ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum, it goes to the Golgi apparatus. Some kind of address or the signal is present in the protein. Now the Golgi apparatus understands, it takes a signal and decides whether the protein has to keep kept inside or it has to be released outside. So this is how a protein targeting is done. Okay. Now more about Golgi apparatus over here. So as I said, so you have got a cell over here, nucleus. To attach to that, you have got the ER. Okay. So this is your ER. And then we have got the here Golgi apparatus. Now, this portion of Golgi apparatus is called cis, and this portion is called the trans. Okay, and in between you have got the intermediate. As a name suggests, it is present in the between. So what you have to understand over here? So whatever protein you get from ER, it goes to the cis. It is where you understand and analyze where the parcel should go, right? And then it reaches the intermediate and trans, and from here it is decided the fate of the protein or lipids. So it also applicable to lipids also. So this is the function of Golgi apparatus. I hope this is clear. Now next is mitochondria. Okay, so mitochondria is also called the powerhouse of the cell. It generates ATP. So the function of mitochondria is, so if you see the structure over here, it is having a double membrane system. So if this is the outer membrane, then we have got the inner membrane. So inner membrane looks something like this. Okay, and the middle part is called the intermembrane space. Now, What is the function? So this is called the matrix. This portion is called the matrix. So if you know all your energy which is there in the form of ATP, it is synthesized over here. So ATP is also, it's nothing but your adenosine triphosphate. Okay, so this is a form of energy which a cell takes up in order to function. So let it be catabolism or anabolism. If the energy has been taken up by the cell, it is in the form of the ATP, which is produced in the mitochondria. Now moving on to the next, it is the ribosomes. So ribosomes are responsible for protein synthesis. So they get signal from the nucleus that this particular protein, a particular protein needs to be synthesized. So we have got two subunits. It is called larger and the smaller. Okay, so something like this it looks. So this is your larger, this is your smaller subunit. Okay, now whenever you get any signal from the cell, that is in the form of the mRNA. So this is your mRNA. So ribosomes helps in understanding decoding the mRNA. So after decoding, what you get is the protein. So it helps in the protein formation. Okay, so all the ribosomes, and there are also two types of ribosomes. Either it is present in the bound form or in the free form. So you can have free ribosomes also, and you also have bound ribosomes. So bound means it is present, it is attached to ER. Now how it is attached is, so as I said before, you have got the cell, okay, the nucleus, and to this you have got your ER. Now the ribosomes are present on the top of this. So then they become the bound ribosomes. And if it is free, then it means it is present in the cytoplasm. Okay, so they are the free ribosomes. That is, they are present in the cytoplasm. So what is the function of ribosome? It helps in protein synthesis. Okay, so these they are certain organelles of these cells which help in carrying out the functions. Then we have got the vacuole. So vacuole act as the storage organelles in the case of plants. So if you remember the structure of the plant cell, then it is something like this. So this is the cell wall. Then you have got the cell membrane. Okay. Then you have the, of course, the nucleus, and so many other organelles are there. But in the case of plant, you do also have a big vacuole. So what is the function? It helps in the storage of molecules. So there later when you will study that many of the food molecules, like in the stress condition or drought condition, see excess amount of food is always stored in the case of vacuole. For example, I'll give you a very good example over here about the bitter gourd. So everyone knows about the Karela, right? Karela in Hindi, or otherwise called bitter gourd. Now why the taste is so bitter? Why bitter? So people have studied and understood that there is a certain kind of chemicals which are stored in the vacuoles of the bitter gourd plant cells, and that chemical is very bitter in taste. So this is kind of a defense mechanism which is projected by the bitter gourd plants, that is so that they can prevent consumption by the animals or the humans. But we humans have evolved in such a way that even if it is bitter, we are ready to eat after cooking, adding so much of salt and sugars, and still we are eating the bitter gourd. Okay. So the chemical of bitterness is present in the vacuole. Okay. So I hope this is interesting. Now you know why the bitter gourd is so bitter in the taste. Now the chloroplast. So this is present only in the case of plants So chloroplast, we know it is responsible for the photosynthesis, and in the chloroplast, always remember there is a green pigment called chlorophyll, which is responsible for giving its green color. So let me just write. So it is the chlorophyll responsible for giving the green pigment. Okay, so it is the pigment and eventually helps in the photosynthesis. Now, if you see the structure of chloroplast also, inside the chloroplast, again the outer membrane is there. Then we, similar to mitochondria, we have got inner membrane. This is the inner membrane. Then again, this is the intermembrane space. So these three things are similar to mitochondria. Then we have got something called thylakoids, which are present like stacks. Correct? So they are also attached. So these are called the thylakoids. Now herein the exact the photosynthesis takes place. So if you can remember, this much is also enough. And this is called stroma. So similar to mitochondria, we have got the outer membrane space, inner membrane space, intermembrane, inner membrane. Then we have got the thylakoids and the stroma, where the photosynthesis takes place. So if you observe the single cell over here, you can see that in one particular cell itself, so many, the number of chloroplasts is more. So this is very good example actually of palak. So we know that palak is totally green in color, and if you make a thin section of it and observe under the microscope, something like this, you will see a rich source of chloroplast over here, over there, and hence it is also rich in proteins. Now, if you talk about the chloroplast, how exactly it has been originated, this is not given in your text, but a part of like more of general knowledge. So when a plant is developing, so first it doesn't come out exactly with the chloroplast. It also starts with protoplast. So the protoplast gets divided into ischioplast and the leucoplast, and from the ischioplast you get the chloroplast. So now we know that chloroplast is having the chlorophyll pigment. It is responsible for the green color. Now then, in certain cases you see that there are few plants or trees which is having yellow or orange color leaves or red color leaves. That is because of the chromoplast. Okay, so they have got certain carotenoids present, because of which it imparts different color apart from green. Now coming to the leucoplast, it is again divided into three. So it is responsible for storage of, so amyloplast is responsible for storage of starch or the carbohydrate. Proteinoplast is for the protein, as the name suggests, and elioplast is for the lipids. It is for the lipids. So in a plant, along with the chloroplast, we have got different plastids also, which are then further divided into the protoplast, elioplast, proteinoplast, amyloplast to carry out the different functions. Now the differences between plant cell and animal cell. So very nicely we know that it has, the cell wall is absent in the animal cell, which we have discussed. Cell membrane is present in both. Vacuole is there, but if you see, the vacuole present in the plant is more as compared to the it's large as compared to the animal. Both has got the nucleus and cytoplasm. So if we tabulate over here, we can see that, so cell membrane already written over there, it is present in both the cases, right? Cell wall is present in plant, absent in animal. Nucleus, it is present in case of both. Nuclear membrane is also present in case of both. Cytoplasm also. Plastids present, but in case of animal, no. Vacuole also present in case of both the plant and animal cells. Now, what you have to remember is, in the case of plant, it is just that the difference is that it has got the large vacuole, and whereas in the case of animal, it is small. Okay. Now moving on to the next. So genes. So in the previous, previous slides, we discussed about the chromosomes, and each chromosome have got certain genes. So they are also called the unit of inheritance in the living organisms. It controls the transfer of hereditary characters from parents to the offspring. For example, color of eyes or having curly hairs. So if your parents have got blue eyes, you are definitely going to have then blue eyes. So like for that, your both parents should have blue eyes. So one of your parents are having blue eyes, the other parents are having black eyes. So the chances are 50-50. Either you might end up having blue eyes or the black eyes, because when you study about the genetics, you will understand that whatever traits we get from the parents is always 50-50. So 50% you get it from your father and 50% you get it from your mother. So if your mother is having curly hairs, then there are 50% chance that you're also going to have the curly hairs. Now to summarize what we have studied till now, so all organisms are made of smaller parts called organs, and these organs are made of still smaller parts called tissue. The smallest living part of an organism is a cell, which was first observed in Cork by Robert Hooke in 1665. Cell exhibits variety of shapes and sizes, and number of cells also varies from organism to organism. The biggest cell which we can see with the unaided eye is the hen's egg. Some organisms are single-celled while others contain large number of cells. The single cell is of unicellular organism, performs all the basic functions which is performed by a variety of multicellular organisms. The three main parts of cell is cell membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus, the genetic material which we have discussed. Nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by the nuclear membrane, wherein inside the nuclear membrane you have got the nucleoplasm where your genetic material, that is DNA, is present. Now, if you don't have the nuclear membrane, then it is the prokaryote cells. Plants is different from animals because they have got additional layer of cell wall. They have got the colored bodies called plastids. One very good example is the chloroplast, which contains chlorophyll, the responsible pigment for giving the green color. Plant cell has a big central vacuole, unlike number of small vacuoles which are present in the animal cells. Now let's come and let's do the in-text exercises which is given in the end of this chapter. So indicate whether the following statements are true or false. So it's a unicellular organism have one cell body. True or false? So the answer is true. So the answer is true. Muscle cells are branch? No. Your nerve cells are branch actually. The basic unit of organism is organ? No. It is true. It is false. It is false. Amoeba has irregular shape? Yes, it is true. Okay. So it's very simple. If you're clear with your topics and all, it's very simple. The questions are very basic. Make a sketch of human nerve cell. What function do nerve cells perform? So we know that nerve cells are present in your brain, and their function is to carry out all your brain activities, to make more memories, to understand, to interpret what is happening in the surroundings, to keep your senses active, right? So if you have to draw, then so we have something like this. You can get better pictures also. It is given in your textbook. So this is the nucleus of your nerve cell, and then okay. So what over here you have is the dendrites, the myelin sheath which is present over here. Don't worry, you will study all these things in detail in the coming section also. So this is the myelin sheath, this is the dendrites, and then the axon terminals. Okay, so this is a general diagram of a new human nerve cell. So moving on to the next question. Write short notes on the following. So already discussed in the lecture both cytoplasm and nucleus. So cytoplasm are your jelly-like substance which is present inside the cell membrane, right? And it has got many organelles like mitochondria, Golgi, ER, ribosomes, etc. Nucleus of a cell, the content which is covered by the nuclear membrane, and inside it has got nucleophore complex which helps in the passage of molecules from the inside of the nucleus to the outside of the cytoplasm and vice versa. It has got chromosomes as the genetic material. Genes are there present on the chromosomes which are responsible for the genetic heritage, that is inheritance of traits from your parents to the offsprings. Now, which part of the cell contains organelles? It is the cytoplasm. Make sketches of animal and plant cells, state three differences between them. So already the sketch has been provided. So what we know the difference is that the plant cell has got the cell wall, a large vacuole is there, and plastids like chloroplast is present in the case of plant cell, but it is absent in the case of animal cells. State the difference between the eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So this already we have discussed. I have just represented the same diagram of the differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes again over here. You can go through. Now, where are the chromosomes found in a cell? State their function. So just now I said these chromosomes are found in the nucleus. Okay, so they are present in the nucleoplasm. What is their function? So they carry the genetic information from parents to offsprings. For example, as we discussed about the color of the eyes or having curly hair. Cells are the basic structural units of living organism explained. So here what you can talk about is that from the cells you get tissues, and tissues you get organs and then organ system. So finally what is happening, an entire individual is performing. So this basic function of the body actually happens at the cellular level, that is at the cell level. So one cell functions, then the entire cluster of tissue functions, hence the organs. And that's how an individual is able to perform its functions in day-to-day life. Now explain why chloroplasts are found only in plant cells, because they are responsible for photosynthesis and only plants have got the chlorophyll pigment, and that's why they're able to synthesize. So in case of animals, they don't have such pigment, they don't have capacity to carry out or to capture sunlight and convert it into the food. So only this ability is present in the plant cells. Now this is interesting, this I like. So let's do this puzzle. So this is necessary for photosynthesis. So we know what is necessary, as already mentioned, it is the first one. So it can be, so this is chlorophyll. So it is the chlorophyll. Then we have got term for component present in the cytoplasm, 3. O. So it can be components. Cellular components are also called organelles, right? N-E-L-L over here, sorry. Organelle. So one L over here, one L over here. Yes. Then we have the living substance in the cell. Number 6, it is the protoplasm. Remember? Then we have units of inheritance present on the chromosome. So it is genes. Now green plastids are called chloroplast. So they are the chloroplast. S. Formed a collection of tissues, so it is the organ. So if it was the question formed by collection of cells, then the answer should be tissues. It separates the contents of the cell from the surrounding medium. 4th one, it is the membrane. Then empty structure in the cytoplasm. 5th, it is the vacuole, which is present in the both plants and animals. A group of cells is called tissues. Yes. So if you see, everything has been answered and it fits very beautifully and correctly. So I hope this was clear. So if you are thorough with your topic, then it becomes very easy to carry out such questions. Now, before ending, I would like to say thank you for watching this video. So here I conclude the chapter 8 from class 8 of CBSE board. If any comments and suggestions or any queries are there, please comment and it will be more appreciated. You can also write us on Excelsior Academy 1228@gmail.com. And please keep watching, because this lockdown has made it difficult to understand these subjects, and I don't want any of you to lose your year. I don't want you to waste this year for this because of this lockdown. So in the next session, we will be doing certain multiple choice questions and the questions from the previous years, which has appeared in the CBSE exams, like your final annual exams. So those questions will be covering. So please keep watching and do not press the, do not forget to miss the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day.